Welcome to Love and Money with Barbara Treadwell, where we explore the deep connection between our money and the people we love. Hi there, it's Love and Money with Barbara Treadwell. And if you saw my podcast on biohacking for a long life, you know that I promised a very unusual guest for this mini health series that I have. And health is important to financial advising because we're all living longer, and there are two things that we need if we're going to live a long life, and one is enough money to last as long as we do, but we also need good health. So I have with us today Katie Large. Her coaching program is Joy Mental Performance. I've known Katie for a long time. She played a lot of sports in high school and then accepted an offer to play lacrosse at the University of Chicago. You wouldn't know it from knowing her, but she described herself as a timid athlete. And then she got a mental performance coach at the University of Chicago, and it changed her athletic life. She's a top academic student, but she earned All-American, the first in program history, in just her sophomore year. So you're going to enjoy what she has to say. And Katie, welcome. So nice to have you with us.
It is so awesome to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited.
You're welcome. This is going to be a treat. So right off the bat, what led you into this career path?
Oh, gosh. This is such a long story. I'm going to tell
okay.
you all
we have
of it.
Time. We have time.
Yeah. I mean, kind of going off the introduction that you led with, sports were a huge part of my life growing up. My dad ran track at Penn State. I have a twin brother. So we both did so many sports, and I was just trying to keep up with him. He was trying to keep up with me. And when I was younger, I was undiagnosed celiac at the time. So I did not grow as much as I should have. So I was smaller than most of the other girls. I was really shy, terrified, and at the end of the day, just like really trying to do my best and be the best athlete that I could be. And, but I was scared. It was, I was really timid. I was not one to put myself out there. I wasn't the most confident, kid. And I just remember throughout all those youth sports endeavors, I was always just so nervous to make a mistake. I didn't have the best coaches all the time. And some of them were very much dismissive of the girls that were kind of in the shadows and a little bit shyer. So I kid you not, I did everything in my power to be the best that I could be and, be the best team player, do everything for my teammates, my coaches, whatever I could do. So I love to tell this stat. I played every single position in lacrosse, which is the sport that I played in college, every single one except goalie, because I was like, whatever you need me, put me, I don't care. Whatever you mean. And because my biggest asset as an athlete was my speed, so it came in handy in a lot of different sides of the field. Anyways, I digress. But long story short, I really struggled with the concept of making a mistake because I was so terrified to put myself in a position where I could possibly fail. And honestly, a big piece of that was because it was a very tight leash because the youth sports environment when I was growing up, it was so intense, so competitive. And all I was trying to do was show like the coaches and show the girls who were very confident, very showboaty, like so good already that I could hang in with them. And because I was so nervous and so scared to make a mistake, I actually was almost a self-fulfilling prophecy where I put myself in the shadows, which is exactly what I did not want to do, right? Like I worked so hard outside. Like I trained, I ran, I did extra wall ball. I asked coaches what I could do to improve. And it all went out the window when I got on the field for a game because I was so scared to mess up. And this kind of followed me throughout all the way through high school. And because of this, I was recruited. I was very much a late bloomer because when it got time to recruiting and all my friends were already committed to D1 schools. And I was like, oh gosh, okay, I can do this. Here we go. And I ended up
Pressure.
yeah.
Yes.
And I ended up being lucky enough to get recruited for the University of Chicago, brand new program, late in my junior summer, before my senior year. So I was one of the last ones to commit, but it was really cool because I was part of like a brand new team. And when I got there, oh my gosh, I was so determined to just show everybody that like I could be this player I always thought I could be, and also be the best teammate I could, like really just like show up. And I trained so hard in order to do that. And I ended up working my way up all the way to the starting lineup as a midfielder when I was a freshman. And then COVID happened, so our season ended abruptly. It was 2019 through 2020 that season. So it was right like when it was about to start. It was nope, never mind, COVID. And after that, we did have next year, the following year, we did have a season. It was still in COVID, but we were able to have a season. And gosh, I put my everything into it because it was kind of all we had at the moment was playing the sport and being with the team, with everything going on with the epidemic. And all the same things came rushing back, right? When I was in that season and we were actually started playing games, but I was starting to get there in practice, which is why, my coaches put me in that starting spot. And then I would get to the games kaput. Like I'd be so scared. And it quickly, like a sport that like I loved so much became the biggest source of my anxiety. Mm-hmm. And it started to be something that like I dreaded, because I was so terrified all the time, and just anxious. And at that point I knew that like, all right, I'm getting in my own way. This is not something that it has anything to do with my athletic ability or how much work I'm putting in. It has everything to do with what's going on up here. And coincidentally enough, I was lucky enough to have a partner at the time who I'm still with, who was training for the NFL. And he had a coach that he was working with for wide receiver coaching, who also happened to be a mental performance coach. So he introduced me to this man. His name is Chris Thomas. He changed my life. I started working with him in the middle of my sophomore season. And he changed everything for me. I mean, he brought me back to why I was playing the sport, what the purpose of sport really was, and the joy of it all. And just brought it back to the simplicity of the fact that it really, at the end of the day, is just me and a bunch of friends running around on a grass field chasing a yellow ball around. Like, that's all we're doing. And dumbing it down to that extent, I just started having fun again. And it changed everything to the point where we got all the way to the Elite Eight for the NCAA tournament, and I was just having so much fun. Like it was a high pressure situation, but I was just enjoying it because it was fun. And I'll never forget it. I was at the end of the season and I was home again for the summer, and I got a call from my coach, and she told me that I received the All-American status. And I thought she was joking. I thought I was like, excuse me, you're calling the wrong person. This does not make any sense. Because Barbara, I I never even dreamed that for myself. I didn't think, I was just trying to like score some goals in games. I didn't think that I was going to get any accolade or whatever. And lo and behold, there it was. And I will never forget that day because
validation.
It just
on steroids.
It proved to me the power of joy when it comes to performing at the highest level. And I never forgot it. And I went through my trials and tribulations after that. I tore my ACL the next season and had to go through that recovery process right after like hitting my peak as an athlete. And continued to work with my mental performance coach throughout that process to help me get back. And because of that, I was able to get back my senior year and play as if I never left. And I had fun. And that was like the most important part of it. And if it was not for him, for that mental performance coaching that I got, none of it would have happened. And I wouldn't have had the perspective that I have today. And after, graduating college and going through the process of, I knew I wanted to work in the sports industry, but at the time I was like, it's going to be sports analytics. And it was something that, I had a knack for and it made sense. And a lot of my friends were doing the same kind of thing. So I went down that path. And once I got there, I realized my career needs to be working with people, not with numbers. I missed it. And I knew that having a career working with people and mentoring and coaching was going to be where I would shine and what would fill me with so much life and joy and passion, because I would light up and feel the most energized when I was giving advice to the girls that were in my shoes 3, 4, 5 years ago, about the things that I went through. And I enjoyed it so much. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go after this. Like, this is something that I should build. It's something that's needed. It's something that's not been tapped into enough. And so many athletes have untapped potential because they don't have the help that they don't know that they need. And my goal is to provide that and to spread awareness about it. So I'm really happy to be on this call because it allows me to share all this and help other athletes know that this kind of care exists. You can have a coach, have somebody to help you through the mental battles that come along with a high pressure, high performance role. And that doesn't only apply to sports, right? It can apply to first responders. It can apply to doctors. It can apply to high pressure career roles, executives. It can apply to the military. It can apply to, and truly anyone that's in a situation where they have to perform at a very high level consistently all the time.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Your passion is evident. What's the philosophy behind? And where did the word joy come from? You don't hear that connected to sports performance.
Yeah, joy, it's my favorite word ever.
Okay.
Well, there's that. There's a reason why. I will never forget this. It stuck with me. I was having a dinner lunch chat with a badass woman in business, who I was connected with to just pick her brain and gain some perspective and advice from a woman who was truly a trailblazer. And I remember I was in college and she was asking me, how are you doing? What are things? Just asking. We were just catching up. And I said, you know what? I'm really happy. Like, things are going really well. And I'm super happy. And she's like, are you happy or are you joyful? And I was like, what do you mean? Aren't those, like, that's the same thing. I am. I'm both. And she was like, well, they're not the same at all. Yeah. Happiness comes from external forces. external things, circumstances, situations, you can feel happy at the sight of seeing the sun, right? Like you can feel happy when something great happens. But joy comes from within. Joy is created by you. Joy is on the inside. And I was like, oh, that is really different. Because you can still have joy within your heart when things are really hard. And in fact, joy is the thing that sometimes brings you through and gets you through those hard parts of your life. Or like high pressure situations that you're handling. And when she explained to me this difference between happiness and joy, I was like, wow, this is a powerful word. And this was back when I was, I think, a freshman in college. It was a long time ago. And it stuck with me.
Yeah.
So much to the point that I made it the name of my practice because it's essentially the backbone of everything that I'm trying to build.
It's almost a spiritual word because it's so inspirational and healing at the same time, because you're working so hard to accomplish something in your sport and you're doing it with joy. That makes you a completely different person and athlete.
Absolutely.
So how do you work with young athletes? And you mentioned some other high pressure roles: first responders, doctors, financial advisors. Very stressful job.
Of course.
So you have a coaching practice. It's already successful. What are you doing?
It is quite simple. It's just helping people understand and know and learn about the concept of mental performance, and understand that there is this care that is out there that is so underutilized and not well known just yet. It is just now getting traction within the sports arena, but it is a very, very niche field that not a lot of people know about. It's not really it's not really advertised as a career in a lot of colleges. It certainly was not at mine. And man, I just wanted to make it different. I wanted to be like, you know what? I want to spread awareness about this, that this is a thing, and I'm going to build it. If it's not there yet, I'm going to build it. So I was lucky enough to still have a ton of connections within my youth sports community and my collegiate sports community, and was able to get in contact with a lot of different athletes who were in the same position as I was when I was a girl. And so now I'm offering programs, essentially a 90-day program where I bring athletes, high performers, you name it, high pressure roles, from day one where the anxiety feels overwhelming and it takes over everything, to feeling joy and feeling their best self in doing in performing in that high pressure situation. And
90 days.
90 days. It's 90 days.
That's like from 0 to 100 in 90 seconds.
Yeah. And obviously too, like after those 90 days, there's the option to continue monthly, and there's a subscription to Joy, and you have access to the Joy community, which is essentially just a group of a bunch of people like you who are struggling with the same things, and you have the option to be a part of that. So you can share your goals, share your wins, and essentially have the support of an entire community behind you as well. So you have that support not only from me, but from people like you too. And that was really important for me to create as well with this practice and this business, because I didn't want it to feel like this person was alone or my client is alone in what they're going through. And that it is so common more common than you would think because most people don't really talk about it. And I want to make a space where people can talk about it freely and not feel judged.
I wonder if you remember the conversation with the trailblazer who asked you how you were doing?
Yes.
In college. So you're the trailblazer in this field. You're starting something that hasn't been done before. I don't know if that's hit you yet, but it's there. It's growing already. I mean, you have people that are graduating from their 90 days and signing up to stay with you. It's an awesome thing. People don't talk about being afraid. Nobody wants to admit that.
Mm-mm.
And it feels self-defeating to even mention it. So, and fear exists in every career and every relationship. It's there. So you're doing something very, very special. What's your ultimate goal?
To plant trees. And I'll explain what I mean by that.
Please do.
I read this book called Anxious People. And there was a message in there that's really stuck with me to the point where I use this phrase all the time. And essentially the concept is, obviously in this world, we have so many uncontrollable instances where people are chopping down trees. It happens. People are chopping them down, and we can't control that. But all that we can control on our end is to plant more. And I see that as essentially an analogy for, like, there's so much negativity out there. This is a crazy world that we live in. A lot of it sometimes is out of our control. And all that we have control over as an individual, as a person, as a human, is to plant that tree, put the joy, put the positivity back into the world, and do it as much as you can. Counteract the negative with another positive. Counteract the chopping down of a tree by planting another one. And that's what I want to do with this business. I want to, my calling, my passion is to continue planting trees for the rest of my life, to the point where I have a whole forest full of people who have found the joy and found the light in the little things in front of them. And it means quite a lot to me. And I'm currently in the middle of designing my brand and my logo around that tree, because the tree is a very, very important symbol for what I'm doing here.
And it's generational. You take the seed from one successful tree and plant another. That creates a certain energy, and that we need that in this world. We need optimism and hope and joy, and it is infectious in a wonderful way. So, I think that's a terrific goal. In my practice, as background, my listeners know, and you know, that my first career was as a therapist, counseling terminally ill patients, and I did that for 15 years. And then I transitioned to the financial world. My two careers are intertwined. It's a true convergence of the newest designation that I received, BFA, which is Behavioral Financial Advisor. So my two careers are definitely correlated. And I'm wondering if you can talk to me about how your work correlates with your specialty in general mental health counseling.
Yeah, I mean, it is incredibly intertwined, and at the same time different. And this is always a stipulation and a distinction that I like to make before I work with each client, because I think it's incredibly important for everybody to have a therapist and mental health support. Technically, in mental performance coaching, it uses those skills and those tools to help in the performance entity. So if it's related to, let's say, like, for example, I'll use the athlete, right? An athlete's having a baseball player is having a really hard time with their batting average, right? And there are mental blocks in the way for that. That's a mental performance coaching specialty. However, if, let's say, that same athlete is having trouble at home or has experienced a trauma or has an undiagnosed clinical mental health disorder, that's mental health. That's the mental health arena. That is where you need a licensed mental health counselor to help you through that. And both things are so important, right? Because that mental performance coach and that counselor can work together to give you the most specialized care that you need for that specific, instance that you're going through. And I mean, even for me, I work with a therapist to this day. I worked with a therapist and a mental performance coach when I was going through what I was going through. It's really important to have a wide breadth of expertise when it comes to mental health, because as an athlete, as a high performer, having that extra niche specialty in mental performance can be all the difference, but it does not mean that it can replace the need for a therapist if you are having broader mental health battles as well, if that makes sense.
No, it makes all the sense. This is a very complicated, demanding world that we live in, and the brain is probably one of the most complex parts of our whole body, so it needs help. And somebody said to me once, when you're having emotional or psychological trouble, you're the worst person that you should be talking to about it, because all you have is your own perspective,
right.
And you get that outside help, and it makes a tremendous difference. I want to thank you so much for being here today. Is there anything you would like to say, or any way that you'd like to summarize this, and particularly for people who would like to get in touch with you? And by the way, we'll have a link at the end of this where you can reach Katie personally, but it's a brand new landscape. You are a trailblazer. This is something that's brand new, sports and mental health, and it makes all the sense in the world when you think about it, and yet nobody ever did it. So just give us your thoughts on where you are now, where you want to go. I know that you want to grow those forests, but how you see what impact this is going to have in a total kind of way. I think it affects everything anybody does. Movement, mental health, getting up in the morning, going to work, raising children, taking care of our elders. It permeates the existence of people. I'm stumbling a little bit and not articulate because I'm just moved by what you say, and I think it has a broader impact overall that we might miss if we didn't know about you.
No, I mean, that means a lot. And essentially what you said right there is my goal, because it's an untapped space. People don't really know broadly about this access, about this care, about this type of niche specific care. And gosh, I mean, at the end of the day, it's my passion, it's my calling, it's my duty to bring more joy into people's lives from all walks of life. And like that really is something that I am so drawn to. I'm so determined to give that to people, that I wanted to build my own thing to make sure that people would have access, that people could get there. And I hope that in explaining and describing my own experience with it and getting through those obstacles and finding mental performance care myself, that it can inspire other people out there to know that there's help out there for you if you need it, and know that you are not weak for asking for help, but you are in fact brave.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that that I get to be part of a lot of people's journeys in that regard.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I would also say that you have an additional responsibility, and that is to train other people to follow you, to be the true trailblazer. Plenty of time for that, but you're unique, and you'll develop a program for other people to learn what you do. It'll probably become a course in college, might become a whole degree.
I hope so.
I hope so too. The Katie Large effect. Thank you so much for being here. It's been terrific. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime. I will always take the time to chat with Miss Barbara.
Okay. Thank you.
Anytime.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining me on Love and Money with Barbara Treadwell. I hope today's conversation gave you something to think about as you navigate your own financial and personal journey. You can also visit barbaratreadwell.com to learn more about my work and connect with me. See you on the next episode.
The views expressed in this podcast are not necessarily the opinions of Barbara Treadwell, LLC, and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities or services mentioned herein. Unless otherwise specified, show guests are not securities licensed or affiliated with Barbara Treadwell, LLC, or Osaic Wealth. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should only be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Osaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth.